Where can Photoroom go next? Can this get to 500 million users? Do you want to go public? This is crazy. And only 2019, so 6 years later, 300 million downloads. And I think now the number one photo editing software globally, right? Matt, welcome to the podcast show. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Oli. Hi, everyone.
Well, hey, Photoroom, what a wild ride. 300 million downloads now. That's insane. The founding story, take us back. What's been happening and where are we today?
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride, indeed. I think if I look back at the inception moment, Photoroom is not my first image and video startup. And what happened is I was in a startup that was acquired by GoPro in 2016. We were editing the replay app. And really, for me, the founding moment, the inception moment of Photoroom is, well, we were acquired. I was the PM for the video editing app. And I received a little message, a great message, actually, email from Apple saying that we're going to feature the app I was managing at that time. Please provide some marketing assets by tomorrow. And I'm not kidding here. And basically, we just got the acquisition. My designer was off, and all the designers in California were sleeping. And so I tell myself, Matt, you're good with computers. I opened Photoshop and I tried to make the design I want. I had a clear story with the video editing app with GoPro. I think it was summertime, if I remember correctly. So clear story. And the reality is I spent the afternoon struggling and trying to convey and tell the story I wanted. And it didn't make sense to me as like a PM, like both designer, a bit of development I do. Development got a lot easier. Designing didn't. Especially editing like these images. And I was telling myself, Matt, there's something to do here. We need to make that more accessible. We need to make like image editing more accessible to technical people not doing that every single day of their work life. And that was like the inception moment for Photoroom. Like a few months later, we started with Elliot, my co-founder, with the idea of like, let's make image editing easier with AI. That was 2019. But really, this idea of like, I want to create a photo, it should be easy with AI. Yeah, that's the founding inception moment.
This is crazy. And only 2019, so 6 years later, 300 million downloads. And I think now the number one photo editing software globally, right?
Yeah. If we look at AI image editing, we are one of the top, if not the top image editing software. Like we have so many people from all countries in the world coming to edit their image with Photoroom.
And, I can imagine that a lot of founders who are listening, 300 million downloads, like this is, the dream, right? But every startup journey starts from somewhere. So take us back to 2019, getting to those first 10,000 users, 100,000 users, first million users. What were those early tactics in acquiring customers at as little cost as possible?
Yeah, I mean, so we started in 2019 and what I think the first thing that looking back was really good for us is we were very fast to go from like idea to market. It took us 2 weeks to really from the first line of code to having an app on the App Store. And when I say that, like, the product, I was ashamed of the product. It was kind of difficult to show to people, but we did put a few interesting things in the app. We localized it in 10 languages early as something like it was not our first app. And we also put payment really early on, which was very interesting. Not because we wanted to make money, but because I think the feedback from people like paying is much more interesting than from people like just using your product for free. And so you want to listen to all of them. So I think the first thing is we were very fast to market to try to put something in the hands of users. What we did early is really spending time with the users. So our office was downtown, and we would go during lunch to the local McDonald's. And in Europe, it's more like, everyone goes there. So it's not like you can really find any customer, a lot of tourists too. And we just ask, go in the line, ask people what do you use, what photo apps do you use, what's your process if you want to edit a photo and put it on social media. ask a bunch of questions, then ask them to test Photoroom, and then then collect this feedback and go back to programming. Talk to user, program. That was the early days, and we did it so much actually that the security guy from the McDonald's like prevented us. Like he said, "You can't come. Like it's not possible. You got." And we would pay the meal of the. Sorry, we would pay the meal of the people. Like okay, you're in line. We pay for the food, take what you want, and just want to interview you. So it wasn't bad for the business, but the guy didn't he didn't want us to do that anymore.
Yeah, they see you coming every day and you're like, no, go back, go
Yeah,
somewhere else.
there are plenty of McDonald's in Paris, so we'll be fine.
This is so cool. Wow. Okay, so unpacking this a little bit. So you localize the product in multiple language, like basically from day one. Was
Yep.
there a reasoning behind this? You know, like most founders are just trying to get an initial product off the ground, right? Was the main success in English or was it in a different language?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the reason we localize, it's something I've always been like interest. Localization is something I like, and if you speak multiple, like it's kind of what is your unfair advantage. And speaking multiple languages, it's one of them. Also, my experience from previous startup was that at some point, like the US is clearly the biggest like market for app stores for apps. But at some point in a video editing app, I was managing as a head of product. At some point, like Russia and China were our biggest like revenue stream
Wow.
for a different reason. But like don't miss on that. And so I mean I think that in the past, like it was very like I already had a process, some script in mind, and so that was quite cheap for me and for us with Elliot to do it. That's the first step. Already wrote like a bunch of blog posts on how to do it. And I think for photo app, it's kind of knowing your industry. Like it's very visual. So, the difficulty, like people look for the visual first. The difficulty of translating the app is not as much as if you're, like, let's say, you're a Calm or you're a Blinkist and you have or a Duolingo where you have ton of content to write to explain. So I think it's
Mm.
depending on your industry, knowing what your user want and seeing what's easy and what can be an unfair advantage to do.
And so the first product, right, was this background remover. So basically, like for listeners listening, if they didn't know, it's like if you have a blue background and you want the blue background removed, you go to Photoroom and they will remove the background, right?
Yeah. We didn't talk about that. So we really started with like a simple product in 2 weeks, but we're like Photoroom today is the best app in the world for AI image editing. And in particular, if you look at algorithm, we're the best in the world. If you want to remove product, take a product shot, put it on a white background, create a shadow, anything you do in the studio. And the first version of the app was really just one view where you would be able to split the background for the subject, like apply AI to that. And it happens that in 2019, kind of the state of the art was getting really good at it. And so we started with that. And clearly there was an audience as we got better at this algorithm. But the app was just one page, one view.
Yeah. I tried the product before I came on, and what I love is how easy and simple it is to use the product without even having to sign up. When you use different products and similar products, you're like, oh, okay, it's completely free to use, but then to download the image, you have to sign up. There's like a cache. And what I love, I think, about one of your product principles is everything should be done in like a couple of clicks, right? And you can really see that from even just trying the product within a few seconds.
Yeah. Well, in visual editing, that's one of my learning from past, and from Photoroom is like people know it when they see it. So you really want to like show don't tell is another principle you could use, but you really want people to see what's happening, and that's how you build trust. And really, already in 2019, there were so many apps that were like advertising something like this kind of feature, but just not delivering on it. And we told ourselves like we just want to show the value to the user to build trust. So they come in the product and they trust. Like they come from like good karma. They see like
For
they're
sure.
they're they're not lying. So if they're trying to do something, if it doesn't work, maybe it's a bug. It's not like they're trying to rip me off. And so that we really want to come from that. And and the idea is we are going from for non-designer. Remember the incision story. So people they don't feel confident in their craft or non-craft of designing image editing. And the goal for us is to get the user as fast as possible to a situation of confidence that actually they can do beautiful stuff. And so the idea is you need 3, 4 taps in the app to really have this wow moment where okay, actually, I can do some beautiful stuff. I can do it by myself.
Love it. Well, users are loving it. And VCs, I think, are also loving it, right? You raised $62 million to date, give or take. And the stat I found quite interesting. The first $2 million you raised in venture capital, you got to $20 million in annual recurring revenue. Normally, it's the opposite way around. Normally, you spend $20 million to get to $2 million in revenue. Wow. What happened?
Yeah, yeah. It's I think it's actually you see AI companies doing a bit more of that. But I remember talking with our Y Combinator partner saying like, I mean, it's the first time we see a company growing that fast with that little of capital raised, and really like in a few months. So like back to the story, 2020, we start to be like, we launched in 2019, like a bunch of iteration, get the product to work better, get the AI, we trained our algorithm to be better. And early 2020, we really start to like have some traction. I remember Gary V talking about Photoroom in February 2020. Really like, if you're a reseller, if you're a hustler, that's the app you need to use. And we had some other YouTube influencer. And so we really got traction in February 2020, like product market fit on people selling online. And they need good photos to sell. That's the learning. I'm starting from like, I'm a product manager. I need a image editing software. And like it's in 2020, it's like, actually, it's not only a product manager. It's like a lot of people, like hundreds of millions of people. eBay alone is 20 million sellers. And so we have that. And well, that's kind of, well, you need some kind of luck. So at that moment for a startup to be grow that fast. And what happened is March 2020, well, COVID hit. And well, it's been painful, I think, for a lot of people here. Not easy to deal with, like with a kid at home on my side. But for Photoroom, like at once, everyone who was selling like in the real world need to like put their product photos, their e-commerce. Well, they need to build the e-commerce and have some like a web presence to sell what they're building. And so everyone at once need like imagery to sell. And we had like people that couldn't meet the end of the month that tell us like, thanks to you guys, like I can pay my rent for my shop and for my apartment because I was able to put my physical store online. So we really got a lot of traction from that point. And so that's the first thing that happened during YC and just after COVID started.
This is like a COVID success story, right? I mean, there are a couple others. Hopin was another one for like events. I know it's not here anymore, but there are a couple of like success stories, right? If COVID didn't happen, do you think you would still be at the stage where you are today?
It's a good question. I think it wouldn't have gone as fast, but I think like the need was here. Like if you look, well, so a big part of our user are people selling anything online, creators. Like the trend is positive, like and if you look at the trends of like e-commerce compared to like global commerce, it's kind of a step function for that. So at once, everyone like asking like themselves, like, do we how do I change? And so it kind of opened the mind of people, but it's only acceleration. Like if you look back and look at the 10 years or 5 years timeline, then I think it's similar. It's only accelerating, but then you kind of catch up. Like like a Zoom had some difficulties after because it kind of went back to normal level, like higher because it's a natural trend. But looking back, it seems linear, like in adoption of online e-commerce. So I think it accelerated us clearly. It also brought more competition. We're better off. I don't think it changes like from history on the 10 years. But there are definitely ways for startup that you need to happen to be. I mean, we're lucky to be at the right time, right moment.
For sure.
Right
It's
place, right moment.
insane. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, even just to get to the $20 million in annual recurring revenue, I mean, how long did that take you?
Yeah, it took. So we raised. It's 2022, if I'm correct, Series A, and it's a bit before. So I think it took us 2 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
went fast.
And the latest is 50?
Yeah, 1 year ago we talked about 50.
Yeah. Wow. In 6 years. But when I think about like these photo editing tools, it's like, okay, there's Adobe, there's Figma, there's Canva. They all have different use cases, right? How are you describing Photoroom to your audience? And where do you kind of fit in this whole, creator tech stack?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Photoroom is the best image editor if you're selling online. If you have an e-commerce, if you have a physical store, we're we're really the best tool for a few reasons. First, we are like cross-platform. We don't have that many native, so you don't have like Photoroom is the only native cross-platform app that you can use. And we have a lot of users when they sell online, they take photo from their phone and live you can have on your web app or your web photo app like the image. So you can like really download it, put it on eBay, Shopify, make some changes, add some text. And we really have this full flow where you can start taking photo from mobile. You can export on social media from like stay on your phone, but you can really go all the way to the web. What we a few other things that we do are like we handle teams, you can collaborate. We have a batch editing tool, like when you're a commerce, like the image are your best proxy for what you do. So it's about like consistency. Like if you look at the window of a shop, like is it tidy? Is it clean? Well, it's the same for online. Like you need good photos, and this is so important. Like it's really the best proxy to the craft and the attention that is behind, like the person selling. We have batch, so you can edit hundreds of photos at once. So there are a few specificities, and the last one, maybe the AI, is really if you're thinking about commerce, e-commerce, and marketplaces, like it's about trust. Like a lot of things about e-commerce is about like, do I trust the person that is behind that? And like over time, we put a lot of well, first is like it's someone like local commerce, you have trust, but then you build like these kind of proxies for trust online, which is like ratings, good imagery, and Photoroom, like Gen AI has been a lot about, well, let's be creative. Let's create something that a world that doesn't exist. Can I trust that? And Photoroom AI has been a lot about like, okay, let's enhance the photo, but not lie on it, not
Mm.
hallucinate at all. So if you have a product photo, we won't change the pixels of the product, because otherwise you get like you break the trust of the user. They receive like something that a pattern that is different, with a like a drawing on the shirt, or food that has peanuts in the plate but doesn't have them. So that's why most like that's something recent in Photoshop, but we also sell on marketplaces for B2B. But the DoorDash, the Mercari, the Depop of the world, some of the biggest marketplaces, they use Photoroom because you can really trust the photo, and it doesn't like put all photos like to be wonderful, as you like Gen AI would usually do. Just its reflection of the craft and the initial photo and the initial dish quality. So there's this like, okay, how do we make the photo to be the best representation and build the trust with the user, which is very different and very important for e-commerce.
Um, First of all, like it's just crazy how fast you've grown. It's there are so many more people now becoming creators who need products like you guys. Um, where would you say your biggest markets are today? Is it the US? Is it Europe? Is it West? Is it Eastern markets? How do you stand out in kind of the field?
Yeah, the US is, for all mobile or SaaS company, is clearly the biggest market always. So US is the biggest market for us. I think what sets Photoroom apart is we're very popular in mobile first economies, and yeah, places where people have a lot of side job, and like have something like to make a bit more money at the end of the month. So, just to give you an example, I think it's we published a report on like the Gen Z being financially independent with like your e-commerce, your small businesses, and in the US it's almost 50% of the Gen Z that have something on the side where they're trying to make money. So young population in the US, but also in Brazil, in Mexico, in Southeast Asia, or even Japan, which are big countries from like mobile. These are big countries for us relatively to other, because you have like this full generate people have three jobs, and like they create a lot of businesses. Like there's a lot of unofficial like jobs that are and businesses that are started, and they run their business from their phone. So we're very popular in this, and these are big regions for us.
This is amazing. When I think about these types of companies, there's always been almost like an iconic moment, or like there's always been like a biggest moment where it's really like taken the company from zero to one incredibly quickly. If we take away the COVID story, which one moment do you think has really accelerated the photo room story to where it is today?
I think the first one is indeed like a COVID and background removal. And now there was the first one where we like really started to create the second one where we really started to create like a full generation image editing software, which is summer 2022. I remember there was DALI 2 that was out a few months back, and we were like planning with Elliot, like our founder, on like what's next. And we did a deck where it's like really it would be amazing if not only we can have a white background, but we can also create like what you do in a studio, like a full photo, like a studio shot costs 10,000, like a cheap one costs $10,000, and really putting down like during the summer, putting down, okay, this is what's next for us, like really generating the background, and a few weeks later there is Stable Diffusion that open source their generation model after Delhi, and it was quite good. And I remember like literally posing the company like, you know, we need that's what's next for Fuzzroom. Actually, that's I remember we said it's probably like one of the biggest like moment of the photo industry for at least a year, but maybe the next 5 years. And so we just like, okay, let's do that. Let's work on that. Let's make it accessible to our users. And it took us, well, the first version took us three months, but then it took us really 6 months to get the best product for our user out there. And that was like the second, like stopping the company for that and really focusing on that was one of the best and most important moment of photo afterwards.
It's really cool. And today you offer so many products, right? And what comes next after kind of the photo editing? Is it video editing next? Like, what types of products do you think is missing for creatives, creators, people who are running e-commerce companies? Because you guys have now got that distribution, right? Which is what everyone wants. And now it's, you have so many new opportunities that you can tap into.
Yeah. Um, I think what's next is really about like we really are the best for these product catalogs photos, and the next part is like how do we help people to create like marketing content. I really believe in this idea that you can create infinite content if you're running a marketing campaign, like really adapt your imagery, your visual to who's seeing it. And the iconic moment for us for that is our API. So after the apps, we started an API that does the same thing. And it really got traction in 2023 with the Barbie movie. And so basically, well, what they did, they use Photoroom technology to put everyone in a Barbie poster, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, you can scale it. So 20 million people use that. The Kardashian, Beyonce, it was crazy. And so that's that's a very, very viral moment. But when you think about it, what you see is you see the marketing of a product with your like with something that is customized, is your friends or people you know that are in the poster. And I think this is the future. Like you have infinite, so 20 million in this case, ads, like marketing assets for a product, and everyone sees a different ad. And we are the first to do that in 2023 with Barbie, with our technology. And I think is going to become like accessible to everyone. Like how do you do marketing and specialize your marketing asset to every ad, every person, infinite marketing assets. An example is if we work with one of the big furniture marketplace, and this is like, how do I like if only you're looking for a chair you want to buy, how do you see that in something that looks like your living room automatically, and how can we make for each segment a different photo? And we start to see people and businesses like really customize, combine, create like infinite variation of what they're selling. And this is working quite well. It increases the GMV, and really that's the future of what we build for e-commerce and creators.
That's amazing. I can see this working amazingly well also for creators as the kind of the whole marketing tech stack starts to change, right? People want to spend marketing with people who they trust. Um, with the world we're going towards with AI replacement or enablement, where do you think the space goes next? Are some jobs are going to be replaced, but a lot of people are going to use AI to obviously increase their productivity and enablement. Do you think we're going to see a mix of the both, or where do you stand on this?
Yeah. So we're making cheaper, like the creation of high quality, like our most common use cases. People didn't have money to go into a studio shot, or I'm a marketplace and I can't pay for the studio shot of all of my sellers. If you're DoorDash, you can't pay for that. So right now, it's things that were not possible before that are happening. I think AI gives some controls for bigger companies to be able to scale their process. So like in all, like being transparent, I think you empower the small businesses to do more, and we'll have more and more small businesses. You're leveling the playing field. You enable the bigger company to scale. So they really need to think about, okay, how do I do 10x more, and probably with a bit less people, I think, in some of the processes. But I think you'd still employ the people. Like the way I think about it at Photoroom is we have like a 4 people team doing hundreds of like assets for us, marketing ads for us, and for support, for instance, we have AI doing part of our support, but at the same time, like we want to employ, like we didn't get we didn't decrease the size of the support team. We're actually trying to have them like empower even more our users in support, telling them, oh, you could use that. So like going to more advanced tasks, I think is the way it's going to go.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We actually spoke to Wade Foster, the co-founder of Zapier, in a couple of
It's great.
previous episodes. Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about how the future of hires inside companies. How well equipped do they need to be with AI? And jumping on to your team culture now, how are you guys doing much to equip your team with the latest AI skills? As what Photoroom has done is not only incredible, but it also empowers so many more creators, right? Creators, and people with e-commerce companies. But with that, I imagine your team need to understand the latest of what's happening within AI. So the question is, how are you guys equipping your team with the latest AI skills?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to invent the future, I think the best thing is to live in the future. So, like, give the tools. We're really thinking about if you need any AI tool, like, please buy. Like, we give everyone, like, of course, a credit card to build any AI tool they use, and that's kind of the best way for us to like project ourselves in what's going to happen, and so we can build what are the pain points for the future. And actually, there is a good podcast of one of our of the lead Corey of our user research team, and she mentioned how much she like before joining Photoroom, like people were telling us you need to use AI, and like our boss was like, your goal is to use AI, and she never really managed to have that working. And then at Photoroom, she was like she was emulated with like other people like doing exactly using AI and seeing how people get creative with like new tools that they can build. And she really redefined the way we do user research. Like we have a internal podcast that is um, driven with like an AI jingle that tells you about how users are using Photoroom. We use Notebook LLM to have like instead of reading a Notion document or a PDF of the result of the user research, Notebook LLM is going to tell you like generating with AI to people talking about the results. So it's much more engaging for people to listen to it. And we have many tools like Dust. We of course use ChatGPT, uh, coding with Cursor, Cloud AI. So really encouraging everyone and being very transparent about the way you use it. So to give you an example, we love using Dust also, which is an AI assistant for your company that plugs itself into your knowledge on Slack and Notion, because we can do it publicly. And so you have a channel where people are asking like, okay, Dust, can you give me the answer for that? And it will give you the answer. But yeah, first it answers your question, but second, you also see people asking question to the AI. So it's encouraging for newcomers to see, oh, okay, that's how we can use AI. Because people, okay, sometimes it's difficult. It's change management. It's difficult to see how I can use AI, but seeing other people doing it is the best way. Like social proof and social patterns, and seeing other doing it is the best way to encourage people to do it.
Totally. I think just seeing how quickly this space has changed, right? In just the last few years, it's hard to keep up with what happens next, right? We saw generative AI in 2022 when ChatGPT came out. Then last year was kind of like AI agents. Now it's vibe coding. Um, where does Photoroom go next? So take away like the marketing campaigns, which we'll talk about next in the trends. Where can Photoroom go next? Can it get to 500 million users? Do you want to go public? What's the big goal?
Yeah, I mean, the big goal is to go public. Like I was already part of the company being acquired. We're very ambitious, and I think there is space for AI native companies in all industries. So we're very ambitious on that. The the vision, the vision we have is really for every business, you have a creative agency in your pocket on your laptop that is, and even when you sleep, like is working for you and helping you get the best out of what you're building. And it's really important. Like when you see the eyes of, I mean, it's not only about like selling. So you help people sell more. We have restaurants selling 20-30% more because they use Photoroom for the imagery. But it's also the look in their eyes when they see like a good representation of what they're doing. It's like you have a creative agency that is, it's like you go to a studio to get a good picture of yourself. You look more beautiful, right? But it's the same for the business. It's your baby and it looks beautiful because you use Photoroom. And it's incredible how changing it is for them. So we really want to push that idea forward and empower these hundreds of millions of business owners to be proud of what they do.
Is insane. And what you guys have done in just what 5-6 years. I'm really excited. I think with the creator economy now, there are 200 million creators globally. Everyone wants to become a creator. They need the best tools on the market. And I think a lot of this is just how do tools make it so easy for them to become successful in the cheapest possible way. And what I love about Photoroom is from the pricing perspective, like it's affordable for everyone. When from like the VC days, it's like, oh, you're looking after SMBs. There's no money in SMBs, but look at you guys. Look at HubSpot. Look at Zapier, and there are probably a bunch of others. Amazing what you're doing.
Thanks.
Let's see what happens. Cool. Well, let's move on to the second part of the episode, which is talking about the next big trends in tech. And I think this is the most fun part of the episode where, we love to understand what trends are our guests thinking about and the types of businesses which could be created from those trends. So we've got a couple of trends which we're going to talk about today. One is around the rise of specialized AI. Super excited to chat about that. The second is improvement on AI video. And the third, personalized advertising at scale, which is kind of what we just spoke about. So let's start with the first one, the rise of specialized AI versus generic models. What are we thinking here? What's your take?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like you get super powerful models that are very generalist, and Photoroom like always thrive on making like people like very specialized, to the user need. And even early on, I remember our Y Combinator partner telling us like, Fuzzroom is different because most of the labs they're building like they're pushing a new technology. Fuzzroom is different because you are building useful AI, which is a bit different. And well, what we do is we look at what generalist model can do, but then we always train, like when we get to the limit of that, okay, let's make it deep versus horizontal where it's needed for our users. And that's why we're the best in the world in background removal. And when you see, there are a lot of like new tools that are for instance generating text to image, well, it's still weak in some dimension. You can see how, well, if you want to change like respect text or be photorealist or respect be good in I don't know, French language or Asian languages, it's not really good. And most of the models, not only photo, they can get much faster, much cheaper if faster is also cheaper, and also most perform a bit more if you specialize them on one need. And so this is really something that has been good for us, is train, like, be a bit different in the way, like, we do AI backgrounds for studio shots, where we really specialize our AI background models to do what is, like, not hallucinating the product, not creating new parts of the product, but be very realistic in the background. And so it's the same with text. Like, you want a model that is able to, like, write, like, let's say, recommendation of images for code. If you want an image model to be able to write the GIF and really make the changes from the code that you need, and being good at programming. So you see, like, there's, like, the generalist model are very, very good, but then when you apply them and make them, like, a, small fine-tune, make the compress the models on one dimension, that is very important. You get cheaper, better, faster result for the user. And especially when you're doing mobile, like, having something specialized is key. So I think there'll still be this duality, but in the past year we saw, like, okay, it's going to be, like, a lot of the talking has been about the generalist. It's good to discover new use cases, but then when you want to get really applied, you want to cut costs, you want to make it fast for mobile usage, then the specialized are very good. And for commerce, as I told you, trust is very important. Not changing the details of the product are very important. You have OpenAI release the high fidelity, image editing. It's not really high fidelity, like, compared to the way we train the model. It's very, like, it still changes the product. So there's a lot of potential in, like, really getting your model really good at something and making it faster and smaller, the AI model for that.
Yeah, it's something I think about, like the accuracy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I used a well-known image editing tool, shall we say, the other day, and it wasn't background removal, but I wanted one side of the picture on the other side, right? And with the prompt, it's still not 100% accurate. Okay,
Yeah.
we have moved so fast in the last few years, but how far do you think we are away from being almost 100% accurate across all these models?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, it's like the progress the models are making is crazy in a few months. And, like, if you look back 6 months ago, like, people wouldn't have to assume, like, it's impossible to do that. I think we're still, like, quite far, a few years, to, like, really have full control of, like, if you take design, the spacing between for instance, letters occurring that designer would use. I think it's still very difficult to say, okay, I'm exactly going to control that. Or if you think about marketing, like, okay, text generation is going to be good for, like, a 1 or 2 sentences. Uh, if you want to have a full paragraph and it's legally binding, I mean, there's some noise on that. It's diffusion. By definition, there is, like, some probabilistic part of rendering. And so it's not sure you'll get, like, on 1,000, 1 million images, you get it right all the time. So there's still be some the heuristic or deterministic rendering of images. And it's one of the challenge of AI companies is making sure you make a mix of the two when it's important.
For sure. It's still early days. And by the way, the tool I use, it wasn't Photoroom. Don't worry, your tool is awesome. Um, if you weren't building Photoroom today, what type of product would you be building in this kind of specialized AI space?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk too much about it, but of course, when GoPro bought the company I was at, we were doing video. So I think video is really hot and relates to the next one of your question. That I think I would explore, like, what can we do with video that is interesting if I would start from scratch today.
Cool. Let's jump into it. So, improvement on AI video. I think the space is going to change a lot. Like we've seen a lot in image, right? I mean, you guys know it as well. Video is surely next. Yeah, improvement on AI video. Take us through what are you thinking and what's yet to be achieved?
Yeah, I think 2025 is really the moment where you can see, like, good videos everywhere. I don't think everyone is still doing these videos, so maybe it's like seeing AI videos everywhere is 2025, and seeing, like, everyone making AI videos might be more 2026. And, well, what's the challenge is, I mean, the models are really getting really good and realistic. So you have, like, trends are coming from that. It really gets you to animate and put in motion everything that exists. So it's something some of our users are playing with in Photoroom. Like, how do I animate that? I think, yeah, basically the technology like VO3, Runway, they're really good at that, and you'll have more tools. So it's coming, and it's good enough to like, well, not see the difference for someone that is not spending a lot of time from normal content. What's crazy is also creators making like stories and telling stories the same way. Before you had to be before you had to write something, and the only way to create some really good fiction would be the text medium. And it seems now you can be alone and do like a 10-30 minutes movie with CGI, with the with good prompting, and it's going to unlock so much creativity, so many stories that were not possible to tell before, imagine. So I'm very excited about that part. um it's still like video is it's like three-dimensional, like a photo plus time. And so it is like one of the challenge we had at GoPro is teaching people to tell a good video story. And so as for photo, you want to show kind of people know it when they see it. So you kind of want to show what would be possible as a good video to your users, and then they decide. And so this is very expensive still. So that I think is one of the challenge is like it's difficult to show the user what it could be, because it's so expensive in GPUs to render a video. So that's I think the biggest limit. Cost will go down, a 5-10x win in 12 months is, especially for a new algorithm, is common. So that's why also I think 2026, 2027 are more the time where we'll see everyone starting to create on their phone videos. Today it's difficult to run like a different possibilities. And I think video will serve like an authentic story that people want to tell. Like I really believe like people are always in for a good story. That's the common part. That if you read the story of Disney, the story of Pixar, it's always the part. So I'm very excited about this, but it's still a bit expensive. But I think we get to the level that is good for video creation in this year.
So we have photo room.
Yeah.
Are we going to have video room soon?
Actually, we're beta testing, so some people will be able to experiment with video creation into the app right now.
Cool. One part of video content, which I think has been amazing, is creators can now truly be global from day one. So Matt, as the creator, if he only speaks English or French, he can now translate his language into his content into multiple languages, right? Kind of annoying. I had the idea like 4 or 5 years ago, but I never did anything with it. But you've got like the likes of 11 Labs now who are doing super well. And just the whole space is changing so quickly, right? And it kind of jumps onto the third trend, which we're both excited about, which is around this like personalized advertising at scale. Advertising feels like it's coming back. People are spending more money with mostly creators. But it feels now like with AI, there is so much like insane opportunity. So let's dive in. So what is the trend? And if you were to start a company in the space, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like infinite content creation. It's really what is coming. And so the same way, well, for video, what is interesting is you can tell the story of your, I mean, with your kids. Like I print books, with my kids telling them story. I wasn't able to do that before. And like really, it's kind of crazy how you can do that. I think for ads, you get to create unique imagery for your users. It's kind of the same experience that you get for luxury brands that are really white glove, where you get like a dedicated service. I think we can do the same thing for like the way your touch point with your user are going to be. And it's really about creating a lot of content and adapting it, well, first to all the segments that you have. So I mentioned, if you're a furniture seller, you want to have like different scenes. Like I don't know, if you like minimalistic design for your home, if you like Scandinavian, if you like a more cozy place or countryside, like there are pieces of furniture that could work like in all these styles, but I want to see it in what matches what I want. And well, the first trend is, okay, depending on who you are, we can serve you like good suggestions, and that gets you like a higher conversion rate. And then the future, I think, is really about well, you know how all the emails that we send in your CRM are personalized. Like, hi, Holly, how are you doing today? You left this item in your basket. Well, Photoroom API is empowering you to get an email where this is actually an image, and you see the product. You might have like another product side by side in the photo, and we tell you like a big 10% discount, and you see how they go well together, and with some kind of context that we know speak to you. And so I think this is going to like become really empowering. It feels like very customized, really personalized to the seller, and the buyer, and this is like really having this unique representation of both sides of the transaction is very interesting to me. And we already see it, like the most successful companies today in e-commerce or even apps marketing, they're doing hundreds, of assets every month. That's how you feed the Meta Google algorithm with hundreds of ideas that you get, and then, well, the algorithm would pick what's working the best. But if you want that to work, you need to like create this volume of assets, and the way to create that is to use AI companies. Like that's the only way you can both create content that is customized, but also respect your brand. The same way you say for local, translating in 50 languages, that increase the conversion for it. But then it's like that's specializing yourself to your 50 segment. But then you can have segments that are not only language, like who are you, what age, where do you live, and that is so powerful to build that.
It feels like there's a massive opportunity. Like the more I think about it, there are quite a few like AI agents for marketing, but no one's done like the full spectrum yet, the full tech stack within the marketing. That could be massively impactful, especially for creators, SMBs, bigger companies, connected to your CRM, get an understanding who your audience is, automatically, create visuals and your marketing campaigns. Could be quite neat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly powerful. And already we see it, like the most successful companies are the ones that are creating tons of content. So it's already happening. We'll get smarter over time and more specialized, more quality, more content, more video. But basically your marketing agency, your creative agency in your pocket working for you while you're cooking if you're a restaurant. Like, and
Exactly.
if you're a chef, you don't start a restaurant to be building creative assets. You want to cook, right?
Exactly. Well, hey, we've covered so much. We've covered the founding story of Photoroom. Amazing to see what you guys have done, the trends we're really excited about, and the types of businesses which could be created from those trends. Super excited for you guys.
Thanks.
Let's get to the 500 million downloads IPO at some point. For any of our listeners who want to find out more about you, where can they find more? And they should definitely check out Photoroom, of course.
Yeah. Please first download or use Photoroom on the web. If you're a marketplace or large e-commerce, we can also definitely assist you with our API. And I'm mostly on X and LinkedIn, Matt Rouif. And happy to chat. I love to talk to our users or also creators.
Awesome. Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Ollie.